What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri on the day after yet another insane result. This time, it didn't result in a win. However, Del Piero spoke and he was like, you know what? You got 1 point, but it feels like 3 points. He said this group is alive, and those are the positive signs because it did, like the last couple of seasons, it didn't feel like this team, this club was alive. However, there is some nuance to it, and Tudor, Bremer, and even Del Piero brought the nuance to it. But I want to start talking about what Del Piero had to say because if Del Piero speaks, we listen. But he hit the nail on the head. He brought up an extremely important point, and that's that point of being alive and showing some sort of togetherness in a difficult period for this club where we try to rebuild yet again. Before we get into it, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's go. Okay, before we will talk about that, and obviously there are avoidable things that we can improve on to avoid certain situations because Bremer spoke about it, etc. We will talk about that later today for a live show, so stay tuned. But Del Piero spoke, and when Del Piero speaks, you just need to listen, in my opinion. And he came out and he said, to Tudor, because Tudor said, "Man, I need a break. This is a bit too much." He was laughing, and he said, "Man, the team showed spirit." He went on saying that there are signs that this team is alive, a team that believes, that has trust in each other. That's one important thing he said, and also that has confidence in the coach. So that these said are all positive signs. And on the table, it's 1 point, but it feels like 3 points. It feels worth more than a point because in terms of awareness, he said, what you did on that pitch yet another time, you showed that it's not over until it's over. And he said that's actually the motto of the club. And that was missing all this time, that many times we went down. We conceded, and last season, remember last season when we conceded, we're like, oh, it's over. Even when we were up a goal and we conceded, we're like, yeah, game is gone. And right now, it feels like we have another gear. We have another thing that we can pull out of the back. The issue maybe is, and that's what he was also saying, is that we don't bring that out of the bag before we get in a difficult situation. That was what he was trying to say. But he also said that this is positive. There's a spirit around the club that wants to fight, that wants to improve, that wants to get better, etc. And that had been missing for many years at this club. And for now, that is the positive thing, he said. And you need to look at those things rather than turn around and talk about the issues in the first place. The issues need to be addressed because Tudor came out and he said the positive. That's literally what Tudor said. The positive is going forward, attacking wise, we look dangerous when we attack, but we concede way too often. Bremer comes out, he said, we cannot concede at any given opportunity. It's not acceptable, he said, and we need to improve. And actually, if you look at the goals we conceded, 4 of them are from outside of the box with no pressure. Like, those are things you can easily fix by positioning, awareness. Like, you actually can train on those things. But it is an issue if it happens 4 times in the space of 3 days, and you end up winning one, but you end up dropping points because you don't do, like, you're not aware of the surroundings. Like Turam losing the ball, he had a horrible game. Di Gregorio had a horrible game. Everybody jumping on Di Gregorio's neck. He saved us so many times last season. Like, he had a horrible 2 games, especially this one against Dortmund. I'm not gonna write him off, etc., because I've seen what he did last season, and even at the start of this season, early on. I'm not gonna forget the Klopp World Cup. Like, I'm not gonna brush that all to the side just because he indeed had a stinker today or yesterday. But those are avoidable mistakes. What you cannot pop up out of the blue, in my opinion, is the spirit. The fact that we want to fight, the fact that we can do certain things if we actually want. That's something you cannot just improve on from now until tomorrow. The defending part, in my opinion, you can, because again today against Dortmund yesterday, I didn't feel like we got completely outplayed. We left space when we were chasing a game, but I have no issue with that because at that point you're chasing the game. But up to that point, we made individual mistakes. And that's what Tudor said. Like, a lot of things, the goals we conceded are individual errors more than the way we set up. That being said, the positive is the spirit, etc. There is a headache for Tudor, and I agree with Del Piero. You need to look at that and you're like, wow, okay, we were missing that for many, many years. That's there now, excuse me, and that you can build on. What is a worry is the dilemmas, because when Joao Mario comes in, it looks different. It looks different. Yeah, defensively, maybe it's not good, but going forward and actually changing a game, it looks different. For example, McKennie, for all the defensive work he doesn't offer what a player like him does, for example. Then you look at Vlahovic, insane impact, 2 goals and assists, but when he starts, it's not good. Are you going to start him or are you going to use him like that? But then you start Jonathan David, and he is not being good up to this point as well. I don't think he can play that position, dropping in that deep. I'm not a fan of that. I think he needs to play closer to goal, Jonathan David, because I think he's a goal poacher more so in around the box than picking up the ball 30, 40 meters. I'm not a fan of that. But that's one of those dilemmas. Also, Joe Mario, how long are you not going to start him and, avoiding the risk of conceding? For example, Zegrova, 10 minutes, according to Romeo Gresti, the other day he said, man, don't believe the pictures on social media. He is far from being fit. He played 10 minutes and it was insane. Like, it was insane what Zegrova showed in 10 minutes. If that is an 10% fit Zegrova as the media is portraying him, then what is he going to be if he's 100% fit? Because he causes problems. Like, he was causing total chaos, So that's a dilemma, if he comes back, what are you going to do? But up front, we have a dilemma right now because Vlahovic is on an insane, insane track record. But off the bench, when he starts, it's not good. When he comes off the bench, it's ridiculous. It's actually quality. He was top quality yesterday. And then you have Yildiz post game. Uh, Tudor came out and he said he was pale. Physically he was going through it. That is obviously not the perfect sign. Because we play Verona, you're probably gonna rest him. But the issue is we heavily rely on Yildiz. Like, he is the guy when games are like we end up scoring goals in the end, but it's always Yildiz that kind of needs to break that game open again, or do something to wake everyone up, and that is good. That's beautiful to see, but that's also a massive issue, and when he's not fit, like Tudor is saying right now, like he's playing a lot basically and he's going through it right now. That's a worrying side. We need to be honest with that as well, and then Colt Miners, he is the Locatelli replacement. He should not play in closer up to goal. And he didn't do a good job. When Locatelli comes in, it looks already better. That's also an issue because Locatelli, from time to time, is going to need a rest. Players can have a bad game. Thuram was ridiculous against Inter and the games before. He was poor. It can happen. Players have poor games. That's normal. Yildiz will have a poor game. Any player. Di Gregorio had a horrible game. These things happen from time to time. I don't expect it to happen week in, week out. But when some players, it is happening. So it's up to Tudor, to make those decisions. But again, the goals we conceded, in my opinion, are avoidable because a lot of them are just on the edge of the box. We're ball watching. We're not closing down the space. Those are avoidable. But the fact that we concede those is a worry. The fact that we show spirit and we score goals when we need and we never give up until the end, that is cool. But again, that's a spirit. That's a mindset, the idea. That's good. But that's not always going to result in late minute winners or goals. At one point, it's going to stop. No matter how much of a spirit you show, it becomes impossible to overcome it basically every big game. It's impossible. So we need to start finding a balance. Like Bremer is saying, like Tudor has said, there needs to be a balance, and you can show spirit within that balance. You don't need to concede that many goals to wake up or kick in and do something crazy. Anyways, in the comments, let me know what you think about the entire picture. Is the spirit right now more important than the fixable issues we have when it comes to conceding goals? Or are you like, man, forget about that, midfield is still not good enough and that backline is still not good enough? Because a lot of people are saying that, and I do agree. We lack quality. Like, that is not going to change until another transfer window. Like, you're not going to get better defenders or midfielders in September. It is what it is. You need to deal with that. And we talked about it all summer. We cannot fix that right now. January and the summer. That's it. But for now, what do you think about the situation? Like the video, and I'll speak to you guys later tonight.